to Walt Disney Wednesday, where every Wednesday we talk about Disney. Now, just about a week or two ago, I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary since my trip to Tokyo, Japan. Now, I really did love Tokyo, Japan. It was one of my favorite things that I could have ever experienced in my entire life. But obviously, this is Walt Disney Wednesday where we talk about Disney, so we're going to talk about one particular attraction that I had to go on while I was in Tokyo Disneyland, or more specifically Tokyo Disney Sea. And that attraction is, of course, the Tower of Terror. Now obviously the Tower of Terror, if you are not familiar with this particular version, does not have the Twilight Zone theme in it, which means the Imagineers really had to think of a new story for a very similar building and ride system that Disney California Adventure had. So there are 3 aspects of the attraction in particular that I do want to talk about, and let's get started, shall we? So obviously the Walt Disney Imagineering sector loves to come up with some new stories. They want to be able to create a story and have you experiencing that story as you're going through the line. So the story of the Tower of Terror at Tokyo Disney Sea is about a hotel magnate in the 1800s who likes to take artifacts. Did I say take? I mean just willingly remove them from the people they belong to. And on New Year's Eve, he treats one of his most recent artifacts, Shiriki Utundu, very poorly and then has to have the wrath put upon him. And as we go through the story, we actually are sitting in about the 1919 during a tour with the New York Preservation Society. And then we get to discover exactly what happened. Where did he go? Are we going to meet the same fate? The world will never know. But in all seriousness, the story of the Tower of Terror is kind of super important because if we're not going to use the Twilight Zone, what are you going to actually do to tell a very compelling story, especially at Tokyo Disneyland where the story is super important? And so from the moment you see the tower, which you can pretty much see almost anywhere through the entire resort, and I mean the entire resort, it sets up that that tower is probably something that should be kept away from and like don't go near it, but something about the tower just draws you in. And like we said, he's a hotel magnate that loves to forcibly acquire a lot of artifacts. So through the line you actually see a lot of those artifacts, and as you go into the hotel itself there's paintings of him everywhere. So in other words, it's really known that he's not someone you want to be like chilling with, like ever. And the overall consistent theme of just destiny is very apparent in that attraction, is that once you do something, your destiny is to be stuck in that moment. So for Harrison Hightower, you are stuck in that hotel, never to be released ever again because of the things that you've done in your human world. And it's a very weird thing to go off of. Now, the ride experience itself. Now, like I said during the story mode, is that the way that they do it here is slightly different than what you may have seen in like maybe Walt Disney World or even in California Adventure. But what's really cool, so as you're walking in, you go into this little tiny antechamber. They give you a brief introduction about Harrison Hightower III and Shiriki Utundu, the idol, and where it disappeared to. And then you are led into the study. And what's really cool is that the study then, instead of having it like a TV and it being a library, it's actually his like desk, paperwork, and then this huge stained glass window. And then you hear the record of his last given interview, to which then, after he kind of is like, "I'm not afraid of the thing," everything goes insane. As the stained glass window changes, he's basically warning you to get out, like to leave, disappear, do not come back, or else you will encounter the same fate. And don't look into his eyes. It's like I've heard that in another attraction somewhere. But then you are led into like his storage, his artifact storage, which is really cool because each of the loading decks are designed differently, which made it even cooler because you then got to see like the different artifacts placed in different ways. The elevator itself is very well decorated, although it's really funny, especially in this particular version, you're wearing like a car seat. Like imagine if you're driving your car and you have to put it over your waist and your shoulders. That's what the seating arrangement is like. Now the ride experience as well is actually reversed from the DCA version of the Twilight Zone. So then once the elevator gets sent away, you see the eyes and it disappears, you go up, and instead of starting at the mirror like you would in California Adventure, you actually go to his penthouse and his penthouse suite, and you actually watch him disappear and to just vanish. And then as the stars close through. Then what ends up happening is the figure turns around, sees you, starts giggling, the door shut. Then you go to the mirror and he's like, wave goodbye. You have nothing left to fear because you probably dead. They combines together, and then the figure appears and they charges towards you, and that's when you shoot down. Now what makes this experience so good is because it's supposed to have a good, clear story that happens through the whole ride. So one effect that I really did like about this attraction is when you do the first initial like drop, there's a moment where you actually see a light that shines on the walls in front of you with him holding the thing, and he snaps the wires, and there's the story. That's why you're falling down the shaft, and it's super cool. And at night, and I've actually shown this in the vlog series, so if you watch it, look up the cards, you'll see it. There's a moment where you actually can see the penthouse area lighting up in a green, and then it flickers towards wherever the shaft is, and it blows, and then it goes down. It's the coolest thing. It's so thorough that it fit. Now, obviously, if we didn't have music or sound in an attraction, it would just be really, really weird. I mean, we experienced that in the late checkout of the Tower of Terror in its final season. But what's really cool is that the music itself, instead of just being like a simple Hollywood track that is very altered to sound dark, so the soundtrack for the Tower of Terror in Tokyo Disney Sea is designed to be almost very like, there is a mystery and it's very disturbing. It almost harkens back to like some of the old Haunted Mansion movie music because it just fit perfectly, and I really did love the music. And the music, especially when the moment that you're about to drop, it starts to intensify a little bit, and it's the coolest thing I've ever heard, and I really did enjoy that. So if you go to the description down below, I'm going to include some links to a couple of different ride-throughs of the Tower of Terror in Tokyo Disney Sea. But let me know in the comments down below, have you ever been to Tokyo Disneyland and have ridden the Tower of Terror? What were your thoughts on it? And thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Walt Disney Wednesday. If you liked the video, please don't forget, like and subscribe down below. I release new videos every single Monday and Thursday. All of my social media links, including the link to Return Home, The Way I See It, and my Musical Monday Spotify playlist will be located in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, my name is Forrest, and remember, pink cake. Woo!